Good evening, everybody. This is the City of Desert Hot Springs regular meeting of the City Council. The City Council serving as a successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. This is our 5 p.m. closed session. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Pitts. Present. Councilmember Pai.
Present.
Councilmember Voss is en route. Mayor Pro Tem Gardner.
Present.
And Mayor Mattis.
Present. Do we have any public comments?
No, we do not.
I don't see anybody in the audience, so we'll move to closed session. Before we go to closed session, we'll have the city attorney announce the closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, we have one item, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2, subdivision D of section 54956.9, significant exposure to litigation based on receipt of a claim pursuant to Government Claims Act. We do have that claim, and the claim is available for public inspection at any time. And that's my closed session.
Thank you. We'll recess the closed session. You ready? All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the City of Desert Hot Springs regular meeting of the City Council, and the City Council serving as a successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Pitts. Present. Councilmember Pai.
Present.
Councilmember Voss.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner.
Present.
And Mayor Mattis.
Present. Invocation tonight will be given by Councilmember Jan Pai.
Okay. More Than a Rainbow, and this is by Reverend Raymond Anderson, PhD. Imagine for a moment that every part of your life is a brushstroke on a canvas, a patch on a quilt, a thread in a tapestry, or note in an opus. Each of these has a texture and tone of color that, when brought together, form the image of the story of your life that is expressed as you. Pause, breathe. Not all stories have happy endings. Not all editions end with Simon Cowell giving you a thumbs up. Sometimes our individual and collective stories are painful, which is why many choose to deny their truth and live a lie. This is one of the reasons Pride Month is more than a rainbow. It is a time to remember, honor, celebrate, and glean from the brilliant and vibrant, colorful lives of people who traverse the pain and hate inflicted by the church, by their families. Friends and Friends and trusted leaders, their resilient determination and hope are the very definition, the absolute embodiment of what it means to be living in living color, as our theme for this month suggests. Who are the colorful people you look to for inspiration? In what ways do they demonstrate what it looks like to embody being in living color? How do you emulate this? In what ways can you ensure that you are being the colorful person who someone else identified as their inspiration, motivation, and aspiration? In what ways can you own your colorful story and heal what needs to be healed so you can live more fully as the beautiful being you are?
Thank you very much. Would everybody join me in rising and placing your hand over your heart? Please join me in pledging to our nation's flag. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Attorney, would you report on closed session?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, we have no reportable action.
Thank you. Before we take the approval of the agenda, during the approval of the agenda, we'll be pulling any items from the consent calendar anyone would like to discuss. Is there any items from the consent calendar? There's one item on the consent calendar. Would anybody like to pull the minutes? All right. With that said, I am requesting that we move item number 4 from the administrative calendar to immediately after the approval of the agenda. That is the appointment of the city manager. If there's no objections, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on the minutes of the meeting, the consent calendar, before they're approved? See nobody coming forth. Take a vote. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
We'll move to the administrative calendar. Item number 4, the appointment of the city manager. Our city attorney has a very short staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The item before you tonight is the employment agreement with Doria Wilms as city manager, and it is up for consideration by city council.
I would ask that the city council and Ms. Wilms join me at the podium. So I was elected to the city council almost 18 years ago, and it's been a ride as a city council member, let alone the mayor of the city of Desert Hot Springs, and a few times I've had to go through this process of appointing city managers. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they retire, sometimes they don't work out. But it is truly an honor today to see a homegrown individual in our community go through the negotiating process of becoming the city manager for the city of Desert Hot Springs. Approximately 10 years ago, she started as a assistant to the city manager, not the assistant city manager, an assistant to the city manager, and worked her way up to the ranks. When the city council got together and had to make a decision on whether going out and looking for a new city manager or looking within, it was a pretty easy decision, I think, for all of us. So with that said, I will make a motion to approve the contract with Doria Wilms as the new city manager for the city of Desert Hot Springs.
Second.
And roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Pitts?
Yes.
Councilmember Pai?
Yes.
Councilmember Voss?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner?
Aye.
And Mayor Mattis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
I've practiced this several times, and I'm just going to say it now. I don't know that I'm going to get through this without maybe a couple tears here. Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and the members of this incredible community. Tonight is one of the most humbling and surreal moments of my life. As someone who was born and raised in this city, who walked these streets as a child, attended our schools, played in our parks, and built a life here, I am overwhelmed with gratitude and pride to now stand before you as your city manager. Desert Hot Springs is more than just my hometown. It's my heart. It's where my roots are planted and where my love for public service began. It is truly the city that built me. I've seen our city grow and change, weather storms, and celebrate triumphs. And through it all, one constant has remained: the spirit of this community. It's the people, the neighbors, the business owners, the volunteers, the city staff, my family, who give this place its soul. To be entrusted with the responsibility of helping lead our city forward is both an extraordinary honor and a sacred duty. I do not take it lightly. I know the weight this role carries, and I step into it with the deep respect for those that led before me, a clear sense of purpose, and an unwavering commitment to public service. Being a public servant means putting the community first. It means listening, truly listening, to the hopes, concerns, and ideas of our residents. It means being transparent, compassionate, and bold when boldness is needed, and we all know I have no problems being bold. It means showing up every day, ready to do the hard work, not for recognition, but because it's the right thing to do. I'm passionate about building a city that reflects the best of who we are. A city that is inclusive, resilient, and vibrant. To my family, thank you for your love, your sacrifices, and your constant belief in me. To the council, thank you for your trust. And to our incredible city staff, it has been my privilege to work alongside of you, and now it is my greatest accomplishment of my career to be entrusted to lead you as we continue our commitment to serving Desert Hot Springs. And to the community, my community, I am here to serve you with everything I have. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you for allowing me to serve the place that I call home. Now let's get to work together.
Again, a true honor to have a homegrown individual that's spent time here working through the ranks and now going to serve the city for many years to come, whether she likes it or not. We're not doing this again, at least the next 3 years as mayor. But with that said, we're going to take a small break. I apologize I didn't allow public comments before the item was heard. We will have public comments immediately after this, and if you want to make a public comment about this item, you can do so at that time. But with that said, it's an honor again to see you in the position you're at. We're going to take a 5-minute recess, allow the family to say hi and take some pictures if you like, but the first picture you got to take is with the city council. So. Which side is your good side? All right, we're going to get back to the meeting.
Fun part.
Yeah. All right, we're going to call back order the meeting. We're going to move to public comments, and I do have some blue cards. Anyone would like to speak in public comments may do so. We do ask that if it's on items, and I'll read this. At this time, pursuant to the Brown Act, any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the City Council shall not take action on or discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. All comments will be directed to the City Council and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. First public comment is Eddie Johnson.
This on? Yep. Eddie Johnson, I'm the Veterans Park caretaker. Good afternoon, good evening, council people. This is my dog to be, service dog, Bella. She could pop, but we'll do it. Congratulations, Dora. Now I'd like to make a comment about Memorial Day. It was a great ceremony, had a great time, and Joe, no. That's really me, she's copying me. But you're fantastic, Mayor. And the flyover I heard was great because we couldn't see it because of the tent cover, but that's okay.
But we had shade this year.
Yeah, that's right.
For our heads.
Yeah, but there's not much there, is there? Also, I got a lot of good compliments about the Memorial Day. I think it was the better turnout we've ever had. And we're going to improve this better next time and next time and next time. And thank you again, Doria. Thank you all.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Good evening, everyone. So a lot of times you hear problems, but I'd like to praise you all. I noticed you guys out at a lot of events for the public. It's really nice to see you guys engage and patronize and support the local businesses. And seeing you there and seeing you all at different events and the way you all engage is really touching, especially for a growing city. I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to say that much. And all of you that do your individual jobs, do them very well, but coming together to be able to come together way you have in this growing city is really truly nice to watch. I have noticed a change just even within this last year of police response, taking down the camp when they're I forget what that's, encampments at a faster response, animal care. I mean, just every department seems to really just be doing really good. And I just wanted to say thank you. It makes being here and living here nice. And we're a very different city than the rest of the valley. And I just always like to say that. So I appreciate it. And so praise to you. Thank you, Desert Hot Springs.
Thank you. Very nice. Next speaker is ATTM Matthew. I have no other public speakers after that. If anyone would like to speak, this is the second to final call.
First off, congratulations. Good job. I just wanted to say, come up to you guys because we're going into the summer. And I'm sorry about my appearance. I got a million things to do every day, or not do. So summer's coming up. I know that it's going to be super hot. So I think I'm just coming here to tell you that it's going to be hot. And God is real. He's watching us. He loves us dearly. And what he really loves is when you take care of unfortunate people that need our help. And that's it. good, congratulations. Good job. I hope you bring a lot of energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Any other public comments? Final call? We'll close public comments this time, and we'll move to the city manager's report. Am I right? Why is my agenda off here? There it is. It's missing a page. City manager's report.
Thank you. Again, good evening, Mayor, City Council. Tonight we have one update from Roberta Cernick, our Recreation and Community Services Director.
Good evening. Just a quick reminder, our first annual Day of the Child event is this Saturday, June 7th from 10 to 12 at the Desert Hot Springs Health and Wellness Center. We'd like to invite everyone to bring family and friends. We're excited to celebrate our children and create a day full of fun, laughter, and community spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta, and that concludes my update.
Move the mayor and council member comments. Mr. Voss?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's see, first one we had was the 21st of May. I attended the Rancho Mirage Chamber of Commerce luncheon that they had, and Scott White, the CEO of Visit Greater Palm Springs, spoke and gave a great presentation on some of the collaborations they're doing valley-wide with different agencies and cities and what have you with that. So that was good. I got a chance to sit with a number of the council members with Rancho Mirage and talk to them a little bit about different things, but it was, that's always a pleasant, if you haven't had a chance to go to it, it's kind of nice to go to that. There's different people that, from different parts of the valley that attend that, and they've got like a speakers circuit right now that they're kind of doing, and they've had some good speakers. We had also that day, had my airport commission, and a great presentation on the Palm Springs Economic Impact Report by Jake, their staff member there, who talked about the economic impact report of what the Palm Springs Airport does for the region and locally that I think a lot of people don't know about. And I don't remember the date, but I think he's going to be, is it June or we're in June? It's coming up.
Yes.
It's coming up. And he's going to do a brief report on that, which I think you'll find very interesting, and the residents will. I found it very interesting to the point where then I asked him if he could come and do the presentation, because it talks about what our city impact is we get out of it, and the hotels and the events and these things, and people don't really understand sometimes, or they don't recognize or know some of this information because it's not always out there, of what really the impact of having that airport here in our valley, but so close to us as well, is real helpful. Also attended the Memorial Day ceremony. Enjoyed it. It was nice. We did get to see the flyover, which was good, and seeing everybody there. And I would concur with what was mentioned about it. I think there was a real good attendance this year, maybe even a little more than I remember in the past. At least it's felt that way anyways. So that was good. And so on the 28th, I attended the 29 to PSP event, which is a couple of the airport commissioners run this nonprofit that helps with military personnel who fly into Palm Springs. I guess at one time it was called the SOS program, and some of the old timers who are familiar with this probably remember that one. And it's Ontario and Palm Springs, and they go and they pick up the military personnel who are flying in somewhere and take them up to the base or vice versa. And it was a fundraiser there. It was very interesting, the number of volunteers. What was really cool though is I thought I was the only person from Desert Hot Springs there. And little did I know that the table behind me, that a lady who volunteers for the organization bought the table. 5 of the people at her table, all the ladies, were all residents of Desert Hot Springs. Not only were they residents of Desert Hot Springs, but they live in my district, and they literally live like right around the block and a couple blocks away from us. So, it was kind of nice to talk city stuff, and all of a sudden it was like one Desert Hot Springs became like 5 or 6 of us there, and it was really kind of cool. So that was nice to have that. And then today, our city manager and myself met with the airport director at the airport to talk about some collaborative things that we could potentially work on with the airport as well, which I think is exciting. Their economic development person was there, and there'll definitely be things to come out of that. So I'm excited to see where that leads itself. And that is all.
Do the right thing. It happened again, and this time there were 47 graduating seniors, and they gave them scholarships. Of them, they gave $60,000 in scholarships. And we have several students from Desert Hot Springs High School that were appearing also, and Chief Shaw and myself got on stage to honor them. On the 26th, I can't read my writing. I don't know, so we'll go back. On the 29th, I went to Desert Dunes with Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, and it was an interesting visit, and I asked them what happens if you do nothing, and the guy thought about it, and I told him what's going to happen is history will be erased, and the kids will be looking at photographs, and they won't be looking at real animals. And so he talked some more and told us more about what is happening there. And it was interesting, especially since I don't like animals. It was interesting for me, as long as I stayed in the cart. On 5:30, I attended the Desert Hot Springs High School commencement ceremony, and it was the largest one that they've had in several years. And in fact, they ran out of tickets for them. But it was still a great event. And yesterday, the Desert Hot Springs Women's Club awarded 2 Desert Hot Springs students scholarships, and they did it here at the Mission Springs Hotel, and gave it to them separately, and that was a good event as well. Tomorrow, we do a 2-on-2 with COD, and it's Councilmember Voss and myself, and we will be telling COD what we want with them, and I think it's going to be a good experience, and we'll have administration meeting with us also, and that's all I have.
Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy Pride Month, start of June here, and on that note, I wanted to congratulate Brian Edson, who owns the Good House Spa here in town. He had a great write-up in the Brothers of the Desert newsletter. Brothers is a African-American LGBTQ group that Martin Mitchell used to serve on our Public Safety Commission, serves on their board, and Ms. Pye and I have attended a number of their events, and they're a really great organization. They had a very nice write-up on Brian's spa. Along with the rest of the council, we attended the Memorial Day event, and as usual, very nice, very meaningful way to honor our fallen vets for their service. The mayor's reminiscence about his late grandfather's service, very touching. And it was really it was probably the best veterans event that we've had since I've been here. As Ms. Pye mentioned, I took her on a tour of Desert Dunes Golf Course with the Oswald Land Trust people. And for those that are unfamiliar, Oswald Land Trust is trying to buy the old Desert Dunes Golf Course, and they want to turn it into a nature preserve with some hiking trails, wildlife, education centers for our kids, things like that. They've got a long way to go and a lot of money to raise to do it, but we've taken the entire council out there for tours, and it really is an amazing project if they can pull it off. And as she pointed out, she had a great notion on the losing of history, because part of that golf course is also built over an old Indian village called what am I drawing a blank on it? Willow Hole, and so there's a lot of history out there that will get erased if it goes away. We attended the street naming ceremonies for the high school valedictorians at DHS High and Mount San Jacinto High at Wenslaff. Always a great event, and it's so fun to see these kids smile and pull down the cover and their names up there in the street, and it's just really a special event for them and their families. And as Ms. Pye mentioned, we have the Desert Hot Springs Women's Club scholarship event last night, and I was able to say a few words on behalf of the mayor and the council and honor these kids who are, they're just so inspirational. You know, this time of year we get to see all of these young kids heading off to college, heading off to start their lives, and the paths that they're going down. And it's just so moving to be able to see those kids and how excited they are about moving forward and taking something like you said to heart. And I've heard you say many times, Mr. Mayor, is like, we hope you come back to the city where you lived and be part of that. And I made that part of my speech. And with credit to you, I didn't steal it. But at any rate, I was surprised. We must have had 4 or 5 of those kids come up when they were talking about where they were going to school, saying, yes, and I plan to come back. So that was really special to see that. And finally, we had a Coachella Valley Conservation Commission Finance Committee meeting this week to approve the upcoming budget for the full CVCC board to approve later this month. And one thing I just wanted to note in that is that we've been really attempting at CVCC to ramp up our efforts on monitoring and maintenance of conservation lands. And our city has more CVCC, CVMC, other conservation organization-owned land within its boundaries than any other city in the valley. And it is a ongoing process to maintain, make sure people aren't trespassing, we don't have encampments out there, people aren't dumping trash. We did budget this year for purchase of several vehicles to help patrol all of that, as well as fence repair, new installation of fence. And one thing I'm strongly advocating for, and we'll undertake later this year, is a nexus study to reallocate the amount of money for monitoring and maintenance. Right now, the entire process is funded through development fees. 83% of the development fees go to purchase new land, 17% are set aside for maintenance and monitoring. We need to rebalance that, and I'm hoping, my goal is to get that to about a 70-30 split. So that's going to be a multi-year process, but I think over time we're going to see a lot more improvement and a lot less trash dumping, a lot less encampments out there in those conservation lands. That's all I've got.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. This is my City Council update for June 2025. So Memorial Day, on May 29th, I joined our Mayor Pro Tem, and fellow City Council members at our city's Memorial Park ceremony for the veteran. They're here at our Veterans Park. Hearing the speakers share their personal stories about loved ones who served and made the ultimate sacrifice was deeply moving. These heroes may be gone, but they're never forgotten. Switching gears, DHS students were celebrated on May 27th, last Friday. I, along with the Mayor Pro Tem and Council Member Jan Pye, celebrated our outstanding students and their street sign projects on Pearson and Chola, and also as far as West Street. So congratulations to our students, Fritz Guerrera Navarro and Maya M. Cabrero, for that, having those street signs named after you. Quite an accomplishment. Sunline Transportation and Taxi Commission update. On May 28th, I attended my monthly Sunline Transportation Commission meeting. A key takeaway was that our local taxi drivers are experiencing a slowdown in business. Several drivers spoke about the challenges they face compared to rideshare options. One important fact I learned is that taxi drivers undergo a rigorous vetting process, and that you can order a taxi just as easily as a rideshare by using an app. So what's that app, you ask? That app is called Flywheel app. So the Flywheel app. Find and download it on your smartphone. Let's support our local taxi drivers and make sure we keep them in the driver's seat. Mr. Mayor, that completes my update.
Thank you very much. I also attended the Memorial Day event and was honored to be the MC again this year. Again, a well put on event. Thank you to our city staff for all the hard work you do on that. Our city manager's office and myself met with and the police chief met with the principals here in Desert Hot Springs. We try to do that twice a year, just to talk about the issues they might face here in the community and what we can do to help them in and around their schools. We can't do a lot within the school itself, but we can do a lot on the outside to help with the issues they face. That afternoon, Mr. Pitts and I met with the Palm Springs Unified School District along with our city manager, and we talked about some of the issues facing the school district and some of our issues that we face here in Desert Hot Springs with our schools. As mentioned, we were able to attend again this year the street naming for the Desert Hot Springs High School valedictorian and the Mount San Jacinto Desert Hot Springs campus valedictorian. And we named those streets honorarily for them for 1 year, and then they get to take those street signs and hang them wherever they like after that year. But it's just always an honor to see the students graduating from our schools or from our high schools and seeing where they're going and what they're going to do with their lives. I did not attend the high school graduation this year. I was sitting in Principal Tinoco's office a week or so before that, and he was saying it was the largest class, as mentioned by Ms. Pye. I think it was 365 students this year, the largest class that Desert Hot Springs High has ever had, and there was a lot of need for tickets. So I told him I would donate my tickets to him for that evening, so hopefully someone was able to use them. Coachella Valley Association of Governments, once a year, they have 2 meetings that I have to attend in the same day. Of course, one's in the morning and one's in the evening, so I got to drive to Palm Desert twice. But the first meeting was the transportation meeting for CVAG. And not a lot pertaining directly to the city, but I did want to update you. CV Link is underway. The link segments, as you want to call them, are under construction and due to be finished by the end of this year for mostly a continuous ride throughout the Coachella Valley. There are 2 cities that are not participating and a 3rd city, Desert Hot Springs, that weren't part of the initial plan, but in the future we hope to be. One of the offshoots of the CV Link is the music, arts and music line, and this is a dedicated space that connects to the CV Link and will connect, obviously, the music venues within Indio and La Quinta to those venues. It's an $88 million project. It was an update to us on how much money has been raised for it, which I believe is around $36 million. There's a little bit of a ways to go there to fund this project, or there's around $50 million total that's been raised. It's a little bit of over $30,000, $35,000 million that have to be raised for it, but it's well underway, so it was a cool little update project. CB Link, biggest discussion when it was being designed is who's going to handle the maintenance of it. So there was a contract signed with Desert Recreation District, and they will be maintaining the CB Link once it's fully constructed. There was a budget presentation from CVAG, but how the process works is that we have a general assembly at the end of this month, which all the cities are invited to attend, and then all the members that attend from each city are able to vote on the annual budget. And that's how it was set up when CVAG was formed. It's an $86.5 million budget. There's a lot of progress that will happen going forward. At the same time, we talked a lot about the challenges that CVAG has. So for those of you who understand the model when it comes to transportation, is that the state pushes money to Riverside County Transportation Commission, which I represent us on, and then 23% of that comes back to the Coachella Valley. Coachella Valley Association of Governments is not a usual setup in most counties, but we were able to take that money, and it was formed back in the 70s as Desert Hot Springs, one of the partner agencies that helped form CVAG, to focus on the transportation dollars into the Coachella Valley to make sure that we got our fair share. This is how many years ago, almost 15 so years ago, how we were able to rebuild Palm Drive, Interchange, Indian Interchange, Day Palm. Money has halted on a lot of projects through the years because of the recession and COVID, and projects are starting to ramp up again. The bigger discussion now is how they predict and estimate the project costs. So if you go back and you look at it, it was probably around $30 million to reconstruct Palm Drive Interchange. Today, to reconstruct Monroe Interchange, which was estimated at close to $100 million, is now $177 million. not much different than what we did at Palm or Indian Canyon. But because of the rising cost of projects, prevailing wage, and cost of material, it's just skyrocketed so much. So this is the biggest and most sought-after project in the Coachella Valley is the Monroe Interchange in Indio, and they will continue to look for funding for that. But with that said, the $86.5 million goes to other programming within the Coachella Valley. It goes to staffing. It goes to arterial construction. There's a lot of projects that it will go to make sure that we are able to keep moving forward with the projects within the Coachella Valley. With this said, one of the projects that we've taken on at the transportation is updating the pavement management analysis, similar to what the Desert Hot Springs is doing. We're in the middle of doing a pavement management plan. And what CVAG does is they look at all the arterials throughout the Coachella Valley plus major highways, and they estimate where the lifespan of these roadways are. There was a snapshot of what the report's going to look like. It'll be finished in fall, but 70% of the roads are in good, satisfactory or fair condition, which is good for us here in the Coachella Valley. There's about $1.5 billion worth of roadway if they had to reconstruct them all today. But for the most part, 70% of them are in good standards, meaning not a lot of work will have to be done in the future. But there's quite a few. There's still 30% of roads are in poor, very poor, serious, or failing condition. So a lot of work to be done. This plan will come out in fall. It'll be about the perfect time when our plan will be close to being finished, so we can strategize on the necessities. And what this does for us is that any major arterials in our community, we can look for 70% funding from CVAG. Does that number look right? I'm looking at Danny. He's a smart one over there. 70% of the funding will come from CVAG if it's within the top. I don't know if they're going to change this model or not, within the top 10%. So anyways, long story to some good things that are coming down the pipe, so I wanted to make sure you were updated on that. And that's all I have. All right, we're going to move to our public hearing agenda, and our first public hearing tonight is adopting the City of Desert Hot Springs Local Hazard Mitigation Plan into the general plan. Mr. Porras.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Actually, Judith Duenas is going to present this item.
Good afternoon, Mayor, and so sorry. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Today we'll be presenting the agenda item adopting the City of Desert Hot Springs Local Hazard Mitigation Plan into the general plan. The Local Hazard Mitigation Plan is a planning tool that analyzes natural occurring risks to communities such as earthquakes, fires, and floods. Jurisdictions are required to have an approved LHMP in order to be eligible for pre- and post-disaster mitigation funds and/or to receive federal disaster relief from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA. The Local Hazard Mitigation Plan is reviewed yearly and formally updated through FEMA every 5 years, with the next update taking place in 2028. On May 21st, 2024, the LHMP was approved by the County of Riverside's Emergency Management Department, in which they forwarded this to Cal OES, California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. Cal OES reviewed and approved the plan on July 17, 2024. FEMA then received the plan. They approved the plan on September 6, 2024. The City of Desert Hot Springs adopted the LHMP on October 1st, 2024. The City of Desert Hot Springs Planning Commission unanimously approved the recommendation to City Council to adopt the Local Hazard Mitigations Plan into the safety element on May 13, 2025. Assembly Bill 2140 requires all jurisdictions to adopt their current FEMA-approved Local Hazard Mitigation Plan into the safety element of their general plans. This adoption makes the city eligible to be considered for part or all of its local share costs on eligible public assistance funding to be provided by the state through the California Disaster Act. Assistance Act, sorry. So this ends my report within the adopting the City of Desert Hot Springs Local Hazard Mitigation Plan into the general plan.
Mr. Mayor, if I may real quick, I just want to say one note. Judith Duenas is our Public Works Administrative Assistant. She actually was tasked with not only learning about FEMA, but completely updating our entire local hazard mitigation plan, and on top of that, presenting to Planning Commission and to City Council. So I just want to say good job.
Yes.
Fantastic job. And FEMA's riveting, isn't it? Well, you know more than all of us now. All right, I'm going to I'll entertain questions for staff from the City Council. Does anybody have any questions? I see none. We'll open the public hearing at this time. We'll take any testimony in favor, opposed, or neutral position. See nobody running to the podium. Final call. I'm going to close the public hearings. We won't need any opportunity for a rebuttal. City Council discussion. Any discussion, or is there a motion?
So moved. We adopt the mitigation plan into the general
I
plan.
have a motion by Mr. Gardner, seconded by Mr. Voss. Did you get all that, Gerald? There's a motion by Mr. Gardner, seconded by Mr. Voss. All right, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Our second public hearing is the City of Desert Hot Springs proposed two-year budget for all funds and capital improvement projects for fiscal year 25-26, fiscal year 26-27. Mr. Buckheim.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and council members. This is our proposed two-year budget for the next couple of fiscal years. Right now, we're just providing the information to you, and we'd like to be able to, so that you can have a discussion, provide direction, and so we can hope for approval on the meeting on June 17th. An overview of the budget, we'll be discussing an overview of the general fund, the other funds, including the public safety fund, the fiduciary funds, other special revenue funds, capital project funds, and debt service funds. For the general fund, one thing to note, we have a change in the general fund that we will no longer be using the health and wellness special revenue fund, and we're putting all those expenditures and revenues within the general fund, and that the public safety fund will no longer be considered part of the consolidated general fund. So the consolidated general fund will just be the general fund and the marijuana reserve fund. As we can see, for the next fiscal year 25-26, we have revenues of over $30.8 million and expenditures of $30.7 million. In 26-27, we have revenues of $32.3 million and expenditures of $32.2 million. Our general fund, as you see, this is their general fund revenues for the next fiscal year, how they are allocated. Because of the approval of the transaction and use tax, our sales taxes have now become the single largest revenue source for the general fund at 20%. This replaces the cannabis taxes, which are currently now at 11%, which is down from almost 30% a couple of years ago. Our development revenues, development related fees, those are like building permits, building plan check fees, those are up at 17% of the general fund revenue, and that is because of upcoming developments in the city. But these revenues can only remain at that level as long as as development continues within the city. For our expenditures, here are the $30 million in expenditures, which now, as you can see, include the health and wellness division, which includes the aquatic center, recreation, and the health and wellness building and center. For our public safety fund, now it is being treated as a true special revenue fund, as best practices for general accepted accounting principles, is no longer considered part of the general fund, so our revenues now include that transfer from the general fund, which we never included the budget before. So for 25-26, we're at revenues of $20.9 million, $20.8 million in expenditures, and then 26-27, we have $21.5 million and $21.4 million in expenditures. As you see from the chart for the public safety revenues, the largest source of revenue for the public safety fund is the general fund, a transfer from the general fund. Next year is going to be $12.7 million. The following year is going to be at $13.1 million. As you can see, our expenditures, we have the patrol and safety are the largest single expenditure. However, the fire services also include the operational costs for Fire Station 98, which should be coming into use in July 2025 or shortly thereafter.
Our other funds, we have the fiduciary funds. These are funds that account for resources that are being held by the city for benefit of parties outside the government agency. So we have 53 of those funds. The largest is the Desert Hot Springs Successor Agency Fund, which is paying off the obligations for the former redevelopment agency. And then we have the Community Facilities Districts Fund, the Skyborn Bond Fund, and then our several community facility districts throughout the city. They cover debt service payments, property maintenance, and administrative costs. For the next fiscal year, these are budgeted for $1.9 million in 25-26 and then $1.9 million in 26-27. The community facilities district funds for the maintenance of those districts, those budgets are not included in here because those numbers were not available at the time of the publishing of the agenda, but they will be in for the final adoption of the budget on the June 17th. Other special revenue funds, these are used to account for funds that are restricted to pay for only those costs associated with that activity, so such as grants, such as specific revenue sources. We have the following categories are lighting and landscaping district. We have one citywide fund that will receive $1.3 million from the general fund in 2025 and 25-26 and $1.8 in 26-27. Those costs are higher in this budget because they are now including the maintenance costs for the Hacienda Avenue improvements when that is completed, as well as the maintenance and operating costs for the Eagles Sports Park when that project is completed. We have several other landscaping districts and drainage assessment districts that do not require any money from the general fund, and they are formed by developers that build out and are funded by special assessments. Other special revenue funds include grant and agency funds. These include the items such as the Art and Public Places, Measure A for road maintenance, State Gas Tax Fund, SB1 Road Maintenance Fund, the Community Development Block Grant, and the Cabot's Museum. The Cabot's Museum is actually supported by the general fund in the amount of about $145,000 per year. And then the other special revenue funds, we have the development impact fees. These are fees for capital projects and equipment that become necessary as a part of new developments. We have several categories, including fire facilities, park development, street traffic signals, bridges, general city and community facilities, law enforcement, aquatic facilities, and storm drainage. And then we have two funds for law enforcement, which is funding that offsets the frontline police department services and vehicle abatement. Or abandoned vehicle abatement. These funds are budgeted to be over $11.8 million for 25-26 and at $6.3 million for 26-27. We also have capital project funds. These are funds that are created to account for the financial resources for the acquisition and construction of major capital projects. Over the next 2 years, some of our significant projects are going to be the finishing up Fire Station 98. They'll be it'll be opening in July, but there's usually some extra costs available like furniture and fixtures and things like that. Continuing the construction of the police department annex building. We have Palm Drive improvements to the I-10 expecting to start during this budget period. Finishing up the Hacienda Avenue improvements, the Eagle Sports Park construction, and the Furby Pool splash pad and renovations. So these funds are used for the capital improvement projects in our CIP plan and debt service on the street bonds. These funds are budgeted at $38.1 million for 25-26 and $12 million at 26-27. We have the larger amount in 25-26 is basically for the fire station and the police department and then the Palm Drive improvements and Eagle Sports Cards. Well, those will be provided by grants, whereas the fire station and the annex building will be using up the remaining proceeds of the 2021 series bonds. And the last fund is our debt service funds. These are debt service funds. And this debt service fund is created to account for the financial resources for our debt obligations. Our debt service fund, the city currently has 3 debt service instruments. There are 2 2017 bonds, 2018 bonds, and 2021 bonds. The debt service fund is funded by over 35% of the utility users' tax revenue. And this fund for budgeting for next fiscal year, we'll be at a little over 2 million, and then also a little over 2 million for 26-27. At this time, our current level of utility users tax revenue that's dedicated for the debt service fund now covers the cities and car annual debt service. So our debt service does not need support from the general fund anymore. And as development continues, we will be able to have more, that utility users tax will even exceed that to a point where maybe at one point the city could get debt service without having to, with any minimal impact to the general fund. And so that is my synopsis of the budget. So if they're available here for any questions or discussions.
And just as a reminder to the City Council, we're going to leave this public hearing open until June 17th, which we'll come back and take any final testimony and then close it at that time. And then we'll move to approve or adopt the budget at that time. This is an opportunity to ask questions. And Mr. Gardner?
Yeah, just one, Jeffrey, and when I was scanning through the budget and the supporting documents, where are we, you touched on it briefly, the lighting landscape maintenance districts, all the little teeny ones that are scattered throughout the city, and a lot of those aren't accruing enough money to maintain their current maintenance. We're having to pull money out of the general fund for some of those, right?
No, we are not pulling money out of the general fund. We cannot use the general fund money for that because it would be considered gift of public funds.
Got it.
So at this,
We are sideways on a few of
we
those.
we are underwater on some of them. So we are looking at the costs for those maintenance for those, and we're going to and we'll have to redo the costs and adjust the services, and so to the point where those funds could be back at back in the black instead of being red. There's only a few of them, probably about 3 or 4. There's also like another 2 or 3 that are in the future could possibly get that be in the red as well. So basically what they're doing is those are the ones in the red are borrowing from the other ones that are not. But it's not being borrowed for the general fund. So we have to figure out what services we can afford to pay for these districts.
And that'll be an ongoing process over the next year, roughly, to get that.
Council, Mayor Pro Tem Gardner, I think Jeffrey, he may have been referencing the citywide LMD.
Well, so we do have the citywide LMD, and that is supported by the general fund, as I said. For the next fiscal year, it's going to be 1.3 million, and the following fiscal year is going to be 1.8. So that covers the maintenance for all our parks and all the landscaping and the medians and items like that. And as we make improvements, and items like the Hacienda Avenue and new parks, that will just increase what we need for that fund and reliance more from the general fund that will need to be transferred to that fund.
Not only do we have that one, but it's also the little ones that were out of balance that are somewhat concerning. We do need to do some sort of a nexus study to figure out what we can afford and if we have to go back and reassess those. And that was where I was getting with that. But other than that, Jeffrey, it was a great presentation and very detailed. And, I'm looking at it and it's a very tight budget. I mean, we're putting a little bit back in reserves, but it's about as level as you can get. And I think that shows your commitment and the city's commitment to responsible budgeting. We're not overspending, we're not underspending. We're spending exactly what we got, and given the needs that this community has, that's a balancing act, and I think we've done a really good job with that, so good job.
Ms. Pitts, Ms. Pye?
The subcommittee will be meeting with Jeffrey shortly, and then whatever we come up, if we come up with anything, we will talk about what Mayor Pro Tem just spoke about. But we will be meeting with Jeffrey, and then we will put together whatever our subcommittee is and give it to administration and have it to the city council by the 17th.
Perfect. Mr. Boss, anything?
Given this is my first budget to vote on, or to be a part of, I have to say you did a great job, and I appreciate your extra efforts on this, including all the other staff members. I would assume that our strategic plan stuff is also incorporated in that, so there's really not a reason to go over that issue. And I was able to cross-reference some of the items that were in the plan and over, which I read that. And so I just want to commend you on the extra efforts and presentation and making my first go-around as a council member pleasant.
Thank you. We'll take public hearing. We'll open the public hearing now, and we'll take any public testimony. Would anybody like to make any comments to this item? This item will stay open until the 17th, so you can come back on the 17th if you choose not to speak tonight. I see nobody coming forth. We'll keep the public hearing open at this time. If there's no further comments from the council, we'll move on and leaving this item open, and we'll reconvene it at June 17th meeting. All right. Move to the administrative calendar. Item number 4 has been handled. Item number 5 is the 2025 local responsibility areas, fire hazard severity zones. Mr. Siriano.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief White will introduce the item.
Yeah, good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, staff. Congratulations, Ms. Wilms, on being appointed City Manager for Desert Hot Springs. Awesome accomplishment, and looking forward to working with you. The item tonight before you is the local hazard severity zone maps. This is coming out of recent regulations and changing to both the government code and out of Assembly Bill 211. This does live under our community risk reduction, which falls under our Office of the Fire Marshal. So to give you the presentation tonight and answer any questions that the council might have is Deputy Fire Marshal Cole Hetrick. Again, happy to go over the presentation and answer any questions at the end. Also with Cole is a supervising fire marshal out of our East End office, Brian. Gentlemen, take it away.
Yeah, just hit the front button there.
There we go.
Sir.
You can hear us? All right. Very good. Mayor Mattis, members of the council, city staff as well, it's a pleasure to be here. For me, it's kind of a return to home. Mayor Mattis might remember about 20 years ago, I started here in Desert Hot Springs as a volunteer firefighter in my public service career. So certainly a pleasure to be here and to see you all again as well. Wasn't sure if I was going to make it on time. I had another city council I was attending on this same matter. So I had Brian prepare for this presentation. I don't want to steal his thunder, but just wanted to give him the opportunity to present on this and answer any questions that you have.
Thank you.
All right, Brian.
Thank you very much. Okay, tonight we're going to be kind of briefly going over this fire hazards severity zone maps that was released in March 24th, 2025. The recent updates to the fire hazard severity zones in California provide a more precise assessment of wildland risks using modern climate data and advanced fire modeling. These updates impact local responsibility areas, influencing fire prevention measures, including defensible space building codes and real estate disclosure requirements. On March 24th, 2025, the Office of the State Fire Marshal issued the 2025 recommended local responsibility area of the fire hazard severity zone maps of Riverside County. This here is the map that they provided us. Your city here is mainly moderate, with a small portion at the north end of for a high hazard. We'll get into that and explain the differences for that. The map changes, basically the government code section 51179, the local agencies shall not decrease the level of recommended by the Office of the State Fire Marshal. The local agencies may add or increase the recommended level, but Riverside County Fire Department is not proposing any additions or increases at this time. Per the state law, Riverside County Fire Department and the local jurisdictions must make the maps available for the public viewing within 30 days of receipt. Additionally, county city must adopt the Office of the State Fire Marshal recommendations by ordinance within 120 days of their release. This here is the classifications. Kind of goes through the moderate, the high, and the very high. I'm going to kind of focus on the moderate and high because that's what your focus is here in the city. Moderate, basically, we're going to be just asking to adopt the hazard map. The high area is going to incorporate the Chapter 7A requirements for building, and well as the hazard disclosure. Hazard disclosure is when you're selling the house, you have to disclose what zone you're in on doing that. Basically, the properties designated as moderate, high, or very high fire zones are terrain and topography, vegetation and fuel conditions, fire history and frequency, climate and weather problems, and ember cast modeling. This slide here basically goes over the different requirements for the SRA and LRA. We are in the LRA area. The gray sections on the right-hand side basically state that the moderate section is basically adopting the map. The high, which is a very small portion of here, once again, is adopting the map, adopting Chapter 7A is the building requirements, and then the hazard disclosure for when you're selling the house, for what zone you're in. Homeowners in the very high, I'm not really going to go into that. It has a lot more defensible space and protection that is required by the owners. The high, basically they need to comply with home hardening requirements to reduce ignition risks. Ensure new construction and renovations adhere to the wildland-urban interface, and disclose the fire hazard map designations when selling. What are the WUI and the WUI code? The WUI and wildland-urban interface is the area where human development and wildland vegetation meet and intermingle, increasing the risk of wildland fires and their impact on community and homes. Houses in the WUI are located close to the wildland vegetation that can fuel fires, increasing the risk to these homes with when wildfires occur. The steps that the homeowners can take in the high area, which is I mentioned home hardening. That's creating a defensible space by clearing and reducing vegetation, dead and dying vegetation on their property, maintaining vegetation that doesn't encroach or get too close to the house, opt for fire-resistant construction materials such as tile roofs, non-combustible siding, and gutters, seal points of entry like the chimney and the gable vents, covering those with mesh to prevent any embers entering in the home. And basically, one more, the map has the code section 51179, the local agencies, I'm sorry, I already read all that. I think I'm pretty well done. Basically, we are asking to adopt this into ordinance for the state that's requiring it for us. We have a moderate and very small high hazard in this area, which won't require a lot of your citizens. In the packet that was submitted to the mayor and the council is our staff report. So it goes in a little bit more detail on what we're talking about. Should you guys have any questions, that is also in there for adoption and review. If you guys have any other questions or anything, feel free to, we're here to answer any questions. I know it's a little different, but the maps are necessary in this time. So we're trying to protect the citizens, and we're building more and more in the urban interface. So we need to take these initiatives to help protect them.
Appreciate the reports tonight. I'm going to open it up to questions from the council before I open it up. But before I do that, let me take any public comments. Does anybody in the audience like to make any public comments on this item? Did a good job. No one's coming up. Does the insurance, I don't know if anybody can answer this, is this what the insurance agencies or insurance brokers use? This is part of their mapping and understanding of the areas and how they insure us in certain areas?
Yeah, the insurance companies, they use a different format. We are looking at just the risks in the area. Is that right?
So,
the hazard. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And
hazards and risks.
And they look in the risks.
So the state insurance manager, I'm dropping a name here, He put out a frequently asked questions on this topic, and it's available via our website, Office of the Fire Marshal. And it specifically identifies that these maps, there is no intention or preclusion that the insurance companies should be using these maps to identify the risk for insurability or increasing rates or anything like that. They're supposed to be utilizing other metrics appropriately. This is purely just to identify an awareness. Now, obviously, this was handled purely by the state fire marshal via legislative process, and there was no input requested or evaluated by local jurisdictions. So this is purely just from the state fire marshal that's been imposed upon all local jurisdictions to adopt as is or worse.
Perfect. I was just curious as if it was part of their formulas or not.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Gardner?
Yeah, you had touched briefly on the higher risk area that's up in the north end of the city off of Little Morongo. I'm thinking back, I don't recall that being a higher area before. Is that new, or am I misreading the old map?
So very uniquely up in that area, it actually used to be previously just identified for about 28 acres as very high fire, so even the worst category. So we had a decrease in the category, but it spread as far as that. So instead of very high, it became high.
Okay. And is there I'm just picturing it in my head, is there a reason why that area is any more prone than any of the surrounding areas?
Yeah, so in one of the slides there, it talked about the topography and terrain as well as environmental prevailing winds and stuff like that. But probably the most key one was the last bullet point talking about ember cast. So the state fire marshal utilized a couple of different agencies to create modeling for the ember cast based off of the fuels and the prevailing winds. And so ultimately that's where they mapped out majority of all these was based off of an ember cast scenario.
Well, and it is good news for the rest of the city that we're in moderate. I've seen maps of other cities that it would scare me to death to buy a piece of property there. And, we do have a lot of concerned residents, particularly that are in some of our mobile home parks along Palm that face out into the open desert that, after seeing the fires last year in LA County, were very, very concerned about their exposure there, being that there's nothing between them and the Cabazon Casino, pretty much, that fire could come roaring up through there that would do that. And I think we talked with the chief and others, and the fuel sources there are pretty light. Creosote doesn't necessarily burn as well as other things do, and so I think we got them calmed down, and maybe this will help ease their mind a little bit too. That the entire city is pretty well a moderate. We're not at an extreme risk for fire here, so that's good news to see. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, we already took public comments. We'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt the local responsibility area fire hazard safety severity zones plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. This is the first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Desert Hot Springs adopting the fire hazard severity zones as recommended by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection pursuant to California Government Code Section 51178. The ordinance will return on June 17th for a second reading and adoption.
Thank you very much. Move to item number 6, lease agreement with the Riverside County Veterans Services at Henry Lozano Community Center at Guy Tedesco Park. Ms. Cernick.
Yes. Good evening. In September of 2024, Riverside County Veterans Services began providing benefits counseling and claims assistance in the city of Desert Hot Springs at the Lozano Community Center twice a month. This initiative quickly proved to be well attended and highly successful. As a result of this response and their growing demand for space, Riverside County Veterans Services has identified the city of Desert Hot Springs as the most strategic and accessible location to expand their operations and serve veterans across the entire Coachella Valley and High Desert region. Riverside County Veterans Services is planning to relocate their entire operation from the city of Indio to the city of Desert Hot Springs, making this location their central hub. Their services include benefits counseling, claims assistance, appeals, education, healthcare benefits, dependent benefits, and CalVet college fee waivers for veterans and their families. The following is a summary of the lease terms. So the location is the Henry V. Lozano Community Center and Substation. The effective dates of the lease would be July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2030. The lease terms are 5 years with 2 one-year extension options. And the cost would be $1 for the entire duration. The tenant is responsible for all utility costs, maintenance, and repairs except for the HVAC system, structural repairs, and the roof. In preparation for the relocation, the Riverside County Veterans Services plans to build out 4 private offices using a NXT wall system within the former police substation space to provide confidential office space to meet with veterans. These improvements will cost a total of $51,229 to be shared equally between the City of Desert Hot Springs and Riverside County Veterans Services, with each party contributing $25,614.50. The decision by Riverside County Veterans Services to relocate and expand into the City of Desert Hot Springs is a significant community win. This move will bring increased visibility, foot traffic, and resource accessibility to the area, helping to further the city's position of being a regional hub for community services. The presence of a full-time Veterans Service Center will not only provide direct assistance to our veteran population, but also as a catalyst for other service organizations and potential funding opportunities. The modest lease cost reflects the city's dedication to facilitating long-term impactful partnerships that directly benefit residents. Staff's recommendation is to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a lease agreement with Riverside County Veterans Services to lease the Henry Lozano Community Center for a period of 5 years with 2 one-year extension options for $1. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Before we get to questions, do we have any public comments? See nobody coming forth, we'll close public comments. I have more of a request than a question. Henry Lozano Center was named after Henry Lozano, who lost his life here in our community, and his family wanted to honor him as a reservist, Marine reservist, and so it kind of fits exactly what's going on there with those services. The family did reach out to me yesterday, and they requested, they try, and they haven't been able to every year, but they would like to have something in the agreement that they're allowed to hold an event there once a year in the honor of Henry. They won't interfere with his services, but at least have it memorialized that they have that option somewhere. So if I could request that, I don't think that should be a big problem. With that said, it's a great opportunity for Desert Hot Springs. There's been a lot of talk for the last year and a half on more services for veterans, and we looked at other options with nonprofits and organizations, and really this is a great fit for us. It's a program. It's a program that's already well underway within the county that can actually they need a bigger space and more space, and this is going to provide that for them. They provide services for Riverside County, but they also have some that leak down from the high desert, Yucca Valley, 29 Palms area into the Riverside County looking for services. So to have it right here in our backyard and have a bigger location so they have more space to spread out and have more programming, I think it's a win-win for all of us. So I'm going to recommend this project.
This is I know this has been something that's on your plate for a long time, Mr. Mayor, and I'm glad to see we've finally been able to get this pulled together and be able to use a underutilized city facility for something like this. I think you're right. It fits perfectly, and it'll be a good draw for the city and maybe draw a few more people out here. And it's very appropriately named for a veteran center from a local veteran who gave his life to the country. So this is a big win-win. Roberta, are they going to be open 5 days a week, 4 days a week? What do you know the hours that they're going to be offering services there?
It's 4 days a week, and I'm assuming it's business hours 8 to 5.
So, and they'll start on the first.
They'll start inside the Lozano Center, but there is a build out that has to happen inside the substation.
No, this is, I concur with you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's fantastic and well-deserved the credit. You're the one that came up with this idea, so I think it's timed, and it's going to be great for the city.
Any other comments?
The Riverside, this is actually the county.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, so, we've had from time to time, we've had folks, that have criticized or not been positive and have said we aren't doing enough. And what I really like is, one, it's the repurposing of a building and repurposing it into something that is going to be very productive. But I don't think people really recognize the significance of this. Okay, I mean, this is a government agency that provides government services to existing and former government employees that were military. And it's not, and not to say anything about nonprofits, they're very successful and very helpful. But this is really the true layer that hits you home, because this is where you get your check, this is where you get the approval for your medical, this is where you get the approval for certain services and things that you like. This has taken it to the next level. And I think that, so that's what I really appreciate, the efforts that our staff has had, your vision for this, and us collectively doing this. And I think the public really needs to understand that we're not just letting somebody come in and say, and they're going to be there for 16 hours a week, and they're going to talk about it. This is the next level, just like the health department we have on Pearson and the library we got on Palm, and that it's the equivalent of that type of level of service that a city our size and where it's at typically doesn't get this. Well, something to be pretty proud of. That's it.
Ms. Pye?
I think we do get it. There are veterans that had to go to Indio, that had to go to Palm Desert, and it was hard for them to get there. And now they're here. They're right here. And along with this, this helps to protect the neighborhood, because they're open 4 days a week, and that helps to protect the neighborhood. I will tell you that the Elks are very excited about this, because a lot of times it's hard for them to help vets because of their pride. And now they can work with this center and help them. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Pitts?
Yeah, I would just say this is, I'm excited to be able to be part of this and get behind this. And again, thank you for your idea in the beginning to move this forward. Excited to see it happening now.
With that said, I'll make a motion to approve the lease agreement with Riverside County Veterans Services at the Henry Lozano Center, with one addition to the agreement that the Henry Lozano family, the Lozanos, are able to use the facility once a year if they choose for a celebration of life on the off days that aren't being programmed.
Second.
Oh, I guess I should press the button. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Item number 7 is Strategic Plan 2025-27. Ms. Wilms.
Good evening again, Mayor, City Council. On January 23rd and January 24th, a special meeting of the City Council was held for a strategic planning session designed to assess the city's current position, reevaluate organizational priorities, and outline the goals, priorities, and vision of the City Council heading into the upcoming two-year budget cycle that you all heard tonight. The strategic planning session culminated in the identification of 11 overarching strategic goals, and staff has worked diligently to outline actionable items to guide budget preparation, performance, program evaluation, and resource allocation. The 2025 to 2027 strategic plan sets a bold and focused course for the city of Desert Hot Springs, building on past progress while responding to the needs of the growing community. The following strategic goals emerged from the January 2025 session. 1, freeway corridor. Take urgent and intentional steps to improve infrastructure and attract high-quality development along the city's freeway corridors, focusing on the highest and best use of land and zoning designations. This does involve all 3 entry points into the city, so Indian, Gene Autry, and Highway 62. And I would, at the preface of the beginning of this, like to encourage everybody to look at the strategic plan and really review the action items. I'm not going to go into those tonight. I'm going to talk about the high-level goals, but those action items are where the rubber's going to meet the road, and we are going to realize those goals. Item 2 is for hotel and spa zone, and it's very simple. Double the transient occupancy tax over the next 10 years. Downtown district, revitalize the downtown art and cultural district to attract events, promote business development, and enrich the art and culture experience for Desert Hot Springs residents and visitors. 4 is public safety, staffing, and community policing. Enhance the quality of life for our residents and staff by establishing appropriate law enforcement staffing levels and implementing community policing initiatives. 5, public safety again, but related to quality of life. Balance the needs of the unhoused with the quality of life needs of the overall community. 6, community beautification. Focused execution of beautification efforts citywide via enforcement measures and the continued abatement of illegal dumping. 7 is community parks. Provide maintenance and strategic upgrades at existing parks while pursuing creative ways to expand park offerings in the community via pocket parks, while securing grant funding to plan for and build out parks in the Parks Master Plan. 8, community services, engagement, and quality of life. Provide for high-quality programs, events, and activities that promote and provide community engagement, pride, quality of life services, and art and culture in the city of Desert Hot Springs. 9, animal care and control. Provide exceptionally high levels of customer service to the city residents while ensuring the highest levels of humane treatment of all animals in the care of the city's animal care and control. 10, street and road infrastructure. Intense focus on fiscal and operational needs to ensure the city can meet the growing demands of the community by maintaining existing street and road infrastructure while planning for long-term growth and development. And finally, 11, financial and operations. Continue to provide fiscally sound operations via the ongoing evaluation of city processes and operational needs to maximize efficiency, streamline processes, and cut bureaucracy when possible to deliver outstanding customer service and professionalism in all interactions with residents and the public. Developed in collaboration with the City Council, staff, and community stakeholders, this plan aims to address the needs of our growing community through deliberate and measurable steps for the efficient execution of its goals. Each goal, as I mentioned, is supported by key action items and measurable outcomes as outlined in the attached strategic plan document. In conclusion, the 2025 to 27 strategic plan, if approved, would be the city's roadmap reflecting the collective vision and priorities articulated during the strategic planning session. The strategic plan also establishes a mission statement that describes our purpose and commits to core values and ethics that describe our character. It will serve as a guide for decision-making, performance management, program evaluation, and resource allocation over the next 2 years. The exact cost of implementing this over time is not determined. However, very specific steps of these goals and the implementation and fiscal needs of these goals have been built into the budget, as Jeffrey mentioned earlier. And so that's already been built in there. The other thing I do want to point out, because it did come out globally in the strategic planning session, it just isn't in its own stand-apart goal, is that we are also, because many of these items are related to economic development, we are moving forward with the hiring of an economic development manager in the upcoming fiscal year. So that has been allocated in the budget, and that will immediately start recruitment upon the new fiscal year. That concludes our staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
I'm going to open up to the public for any public comments first. No public comments. Open it up to comments from the council. Go ahead.
Outstanding. The only way I can describe it. You took what was a very interesting process for our development of work, 2 meetings with sticky notes falling all over the place, and somehow managed to pull that all together into a coherent document. I give you huge kudos for that. I think this is a great way to guide the city. I'm excited to see how we all implement it, and this has to be one of the best strategic plans documents that I have seen in my many years of seeing strategic plan documents. So I can't think of a single change that I would make to it, and I think we should go ahead and adopt it and use it as our roadmap for the next 2 years.
Mr. Pitts?
Great job, city manager and staff. You guys really hit it out the ballpark this time, and I'm just loving seeing what all of us talked about as far as vision and moving the city forward, and it's on here. And again, I love the economic development part, everything is stipulated there. I love number 4, the public safety, staffing, and community policing. It's all really, really good. Great job, you guys.
Spy?
I don't remember getting a strategic plan for as long as I've been on the council. And I'm getting questions, how do I stay in tune with what's happening? People are really interested in it now, and I want to repeat something that you said because I think this is of essence. Develop in collaboration with the City Council, staff, and community stakeholders. This plan aims to address the needs of our growing community through deliberate and measurable steps for the efficient execution of its goals. And I think that's the only way we're going to get there. And our population is growing, and we have to recognize that. But with all of us working together, as a collaboration, we can get there, and people will continue, not just here, but outside of here, will be asking, what are you doing now? Thank you.
Well, I love these things. So I was tickled to death when we got started and got to do this. The next 2 years are going to be really fun. Staff is going to have a lot of fun working on some of these things. What's nice is we have the foundational items, and then there's the layers above those, and it clearly details those out. There are, without kind of picking which ones and what have you, what's really great is there are a few firsts that we're going to be the first in the valley, first in Riverside County, and that's really cool. That's a great thing to be a part of. And I think we have an excellent team here that's going to be able to help implement this. We have a council that's working unified together. I would love to get this in a link format that I can email it out to people, because I know when I do my office hours at 5-Star, people ask, what's going on, and I tell them, I say strategic plans coming out, and they're anxious to see it, because like you said, I don't know if I've been here since 2012. I don't know if we've ever done one that I can recall. And if we have, I surely don't remember it going through and where we're at. And so it's really exciting. But it lays there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no questions. It allows staff at all different levels understand the big picture and where it needs to go, where the priorities are. It's already funded. And then there's a few little funding things here and there. So it's going to be really exciting next 2 years. I'm looking forward to that.
May I just say something very quickly to Councilmember Pai's point, and for the community that's very interested in following this, there's going to be some changes moving forward that you'll start seeing when we come back from being dark from the summer with our agenda packet. Our residents can, in fact, follow along. Every single agenda item will have a new drop-down that will indicate which item in the strategic plan the agenda item is referencing, which goal. Our performance evaluation process internally is changing. I've been working with Bonnie in HR, and she's working on this right now. When I say the entire city is going to be rowing in the same direction, I mean that from all the way at line level staff to the very top. Every single performance metric that we're going to be doing here is going to be based off of realizing the goals that we're trying to achieve. So we will make sure that all of this is available for the community. We want them to be part of this, and we're really excited to get to work.
And I'll just add, every good organization has a plan. And I think that's what's been lacking for a while. We've developed pavement management plans, we've developed, the plan to spend money to build capital projects, but we've never really had a strategic plan overall to be able to do it. So Chief Shaw would come to you and say, I need more police officers. Chief White say, I need some more red fire engines. Jeffrey says, I need more money. And down the line to Roberta saying, I need more lifeguards. So everyone has their wish list of things, but if it can fit in the strategic plan, I think now everybody has goals and can see it in there and can move forward with their requests in the future. So no more shiny objects meaning that as soon as someone posts on social media something's not right in the community, we go and we got to go focus on that. Now if it fits in our strategic plan, we're going to tackle it and we'll get it done. Mr. Garner, you have to follow up?
Real quick, we are going to make this available on the website. I would suggest we one big button up there's a strategic plan, and I've already referred people to the staff report to be able to read along with it now. So, but having one big button on there, we don't need to print it out, but maybe have it on the webpage would be great.
We definitely will. So we'll get as soon as it's adopted, we'll take the watermark off. It won't say draft anymore. We'll get it posted. We are also going to be implementing a project management software to track it. We'll be giving regular updates, and we will make sure that the community is awarded all that information via the website as well. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adopt this strategic?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Voss, seconded by Councilmember Pai. Wait for it to come up on the screen. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 8 is an ordinance amending Chapter 8.28 fireworks. Mr. Clark, he's not here. Patricia, are you Mr. Clark today?
Yes, I will. Thank you. So the following is an amendment to Chapter 8.28 Fireworks of Title 8 Health and Safety Code. The proposed changes will streamline the permitting process for fireworks stands. A summary of the proposed changes are as follows. Remove the language for fireworks stands to be allowed on vacant lots or in improved property. We added language to allow fireworks stands on improved paved lots only. Removed outdated language. Removed city council consideration and approval throughout. And also added language that all applications shall be approved by the city manager or designee throughout the ordinance. And that concludes my report. I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Do we have any public comment? See nobody coming forth. We'll close public comment. Any questions, comments, motion?
Move we adopt the fireworks ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Wait for it to come up on the screen. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. This is the first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Desert Hot Springs, amending Chapter 8.28 Fireworks of Title 8 Health and Safety of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code to streamline the permitting process for fireworks stands. The ordinance will return on June 17th for second reading and adoption.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, anybody who didn't speak at the beginning would like to make public comments now? See nobody coming forth. Before we adjourn the meeting, the Planning Commission will meet on June 10th, the Public Safety Commission on June 12th, and the City Council will reconvene on June 17th at 6 p.m. We are adjourned.